Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. My name is Vishnudat, and today we will be talking about our question number 12 of interview preparation series. This is again another interesting one, and the question is how would you connect your network to the internet? And the restriction here is that you cannot use dynamic routing. You have to use a static one. And you must be thinking, Mr. Vishnu, this is going to be very, very easy, and it is. We have only two topics to discuss, right? We have to discuss static routing and we have to talk about network address translation. And you must be wondering, Mr. Vishnu, we had discussed about NAT in the last class. Yes, we did. We will be talking about a bit of NAT today also, because otherwise this concept or this question is not going to complete. Once done, I will be guiding you through the configuration of network address translation as well as static routing. So if you are with me, let's go to our first board where we will be talking about how to connect your local area network to internet using static routing. And by the way, this is your local area network. Very, very easy, right? So here you can see the subnet or the network of your local area network is 192.168.10/24. And by this slash 24, you should understand that we have 254 addresses, right? I think you understand this concept that the first address is for the broadcast one and the last address is for, sorry, the first address is for the network one and the last address is for the broadcast one. So I think you get it, right? Now we have only two hosts in this network, 10.10. 10.10 means 192.168.10.10 and 10.20, which is 192.168.10.20. This is my, say, PCA. This is my PCB. Only two computers are there. We have one switch. And now we are talking about that this complete network wants to communicate to another network, which is on maybe connected to Airtel. And there is a server of that network, which is right here. And maybe the server name is BridgeWhy.com, right? This is my server. And the IP address of this server is say 9.9.9.9. I am just presuming a few things here, right? So PCA would like to communicate to BridgeWhy.com, and with this, you should understand that we are talking about communicating between two different networks. And if that is the case, we need to have a router so that we can route packets between two different routers, right? What is the job of a switch? The job of a switch is to connect multiple computer inside the same network. And I think we have discussed in question number 2 and question number 3 how you are going to communicate inside your network and between network, right? So if that is the case, we need a router and we have to give a default gateway address to this router, which is 10.1. Generally 10.1 is the first address in this case, which we give to our default router. But this is the general practice, right? Now, if you need to connect to internet, you need to take a service from the internet service provider. And here we have chosen Airtel. Airtel has given us a public range, which is /24. And Airtel is saying that the .1 address, I mean the first address, I am assigning to myself, right? This is the IP address of my router. You can take any address from 254 addresses or 253 addresses, whatever is remaining. So I am choosing .2 here. If I am choosing .2, the meaning is 100.100.100.2 is my address, and 100.100.100.1 is the address of the Airtel router. And Airtel has given me this Ethernet wire, which I have connected into my router. As simple as that, right? And now the Airtel network is connected to multiple networks. Eventually, those multiple network will be having my server, which is known as bridgewhy.com 9.9.9.9. So what is going to happen? This guy will be writing www.bridgewhy.com. Maybe he wants to get some video from my website, right? And you need to understand the first thing is going to be the DNS resolution, which we talked about in question number 10, how DNS work. So I am providing you step by step the packet path which will be here, and where you are going to get the problem, where you will be using the static routing. So PCA wants to communicate to BridgeWhy.com. He understands by DNS that the IP address of BridgeWhy.com is 9.9.9.9. So I am creating an IP packet right here. The source of this packet is going to be 192.168.10.10, and the destination will be 9.9.9.9. As simple as that, right? And of course, routing starts at host. So this host understand 9.9.9 is not on my local area network. And that is why I need to send this IP packet from here to here to my default gateway. And somebody has configured the default gateway here, which is 10.1. Router, this 10.1 router, and host needs to know the MAC address of this. I think we have discussed about the inter-network routing, right? And we have to put the source MAC and destination MAC on top of it. Source MAC is going to be the MAC address of host A, and destination MAC is going to be the MAC address of this 10.1. As simple as that. MAC address change at every hop. IP address mostly remains same, but here we are going to change the IP address also. Believe me, right? So what is going to happen? This IP packet will be reaching here. And at this point, all the problem will start. So this entire IP packet will be reaching here. I am writing just the source address and destination IP address. The source will be what? Source will be 10.10, destination will be 9.9.9.9. 10.10 means I'm just writing the last two octets. Actual address is 192.168.10.10. Simple. Now, what is going to happen? This router will check where this packet wants to go, and the destination address is 9.9.9.9, right? What happened to switch? I think you all understand that switch work is to deliver this IP packet to here on the basis of destination MAC address, and destination MAC address is 10.1. I think we all know about it. Now it's up to the router what it is going to do. And believe me, router will be dropping this packet if you haven't configured anything. Why? Because router work on the basis of its routing table. And currently the routing table router has only two routes, right? Suppose this interface is 0/1. This interface is 0/2, suppose, right? So the first route of this router is going to be the connected route, where it is going to say that 192.168.10.0/24 is connected to me over 0/2 interface. As simple as that. This is the route number one. And there is another route, which is this route, because this addresses are given by service provider. And if you're wondering, Mr. Vishnu, no. Nowadays, you cannot have the public IP address range from internet or the Airtel because they do not have any public address range remaining. I agree with you, but let's suppose you are lucky enough to get this /24 range. By the way, you won't be, right? So now you have 100.2 configure here, 100.1 is here. So router will be having another connected route where it will be saying if you want to reach to 100.100.100.0/24, you can reach it via 0/1 interface. As simple as that, right? Simple. Now, on what basis router will be forwarding this packet? Router will be forwarding this packet on the basis of destination, right? And destination is 9.9.9.9. Router will be checking that whether it is having a route to reach to 9.9.9.9, but it doesn't because it has only these two routes, right? So now we have to teach a router some route. And there are two specific ways to do that. One is with dynamic routing like BGP, EIGRP, RIP or OSPF, right? But interviewer just said you cannot use dynamic routing. And that is why you need to tell this router that how to reach to 9.9.9, right? And that is where static routing come into picture. We can teach this router that if you want to reach to 9.9.9.9 network, you need to go via Airtel network. And maybe whatever the packet you get for 9.9.9.9, because only there is one way to reach, right? You have to send this packet to this router itself, the Airtel router, and the router address of Airtel is 100.100.100.1. By the way, this is known as the next hop, and this is where I want to go. I can teach this router. And how I can teach this router? Through static route. How to write the static route, I will be telling you, because I personally believe writing command is just a clerical work, which we can all do very easily, right? So what you are going to write here, you have to specify a static route. Once you do the static route, or once you have configured the static route in this router will be having another route, which is denoted by this S means static. And here it is going to say that if you want to reach to 9.9.9.9, you have to reach via 100.100.100.1. This is my static route. But believe me, it is not going to work this way. Why? Because right now this PCA is want to go to bridgewhy.com, maybe after some time google.com, amazon.com, cnn.com, zerodha.com, anything, right? hdfcbank.com. So if that is the case, are you going to write static route again and again? Means if this host want to go to 1000 PCs or the servers, do you want to write, or do you want to take that pain of writing this static route again and again? And this is the whole sole purpose that interviewer wanted to ask this question, that how you are going to solve this problem. It means that there must be some way through which we can denote the entire internet, or whatever is entire internet, through only one route. And by the way, that route is known as default route. Because right now this router has only one way to reach the internet, which is through Airtel, right? But how to denote the entire network of internet, entire servers of internet? And to do that, they have developed this thing 0.0.0.0.0/0. By the way, what is the meaning of this 0? This is my subnet mask, right? If I write 192.168.0.0/16, this is my subnet mask, I mean 255.255.0.0, right? And it also have one more meaning, which is we have to match the starting 16 bit. So if I'm writing 0 here, it means that I do not need to match any bit, right? Interesting. And Internet Protocol developer defined that if you are defining /0, that you need to write 0.0.0.0 here, and this combination will be representing the entire network or entire servers, everything on the internet. This represents the complete IP address range, right? So what you need to write? You need to write, if you, Mr. Router, and then maybe you can just remove this static route. You can write just one line, which is 0.0.0.0/0 if you want to reach, right? Reach via 100.100.100.1. And by the way, now this route will match any packet. For example, the whole sole purpose was we need to send this red color IP packet towards 9.9.9.9, right? Router is going to check its routing table, which is right here, right? And is going to find this route doesn't match, this route doesn't match, but this route is matching because this is matching every destination address. And to reach to this, we need to forward the packet to 100.100.100.1, which is my Airtel router. It means that this packet will reach here. And now I expect that Airtel knows all the routes on internet. And that is why we took services of Airtel, right? And eventually this Airtel will be forwarding this traffic across their network, and eventually this packet will be reaching to the final bridgewhy.com, right? But if you know networking a bit, you must be thinking, Mr. Vishnu, no, this is not going to happen. When you send this packet to this Airtel, Airtel is going to drop it. And now the question is why? The question is because you have created your entire local area network on private addresses. What are the private addresses? You can have a look at them, right? And if a packet which is having source address in the range of private addressing Airtel is going to drop it. And the reason is this packet can be forwarded by Airtel for sure because the destination is public, which is 9.9.9.9. But when this BridgeWhy.com return it back, Airtel network has to deliver it to 192.168 range, which is the private address range, and Airtel doesn't know about it. That's why, to begin with, Airtel, when this packet reaches right here, Airtel is going to drop it because it says that the source address is actually the private address. Interesting, right? If that is the case, interviewer is not going to be satisfied. He will be saying that, yes, you have done the static routing. You know the concept of default routing, but Mr. Vishnu, how you are going to forward it? Because router can send it to Airtel. Airtel is going to drop it. And that is where you have to do some other thing also. Where is the problem? The problem lies in this IP address. Which IP address? The source, which is 192.168.10.10. It means that if I want to forward this packet to Airtel network, I need to change this address. Can router change the addresses? Yes, 100%. Otherwise, this problem is not going to be solved. Otherwise, you need to ask for your local area network a public address range, and that is not available, by the way. You can argue with me, Mr. Vishnu, you got it here, right? Maybe one, maybe slash 26, 28 you can get, but not slash 24 for sure. If that is the case, how this router is going to do the work? Router will be changing this address, right? You have used dot one means 100.100.100.100.1 to Airtel, dot two to this router. This router will take the next address, suppose, which is 100.100.100.3, right? It will change this address and it will keep this mapping or the table into its memory. And by the way, this table is known as NAT or Network Address Translation Table because you are translating a private address to public address. And this is the source address here when your PC is communicating to BridgeWhy.com, right? So if you do that, what is going to happen? Your new packet will be looking like this, which is having this after the translation, by the way, this address will be 100.100.100.3 and the destination is going to be 9.9.9.9. Simple. Now this packet can go from this router towards the Airtel network. For sure, Airtel network is going to check what's the source address. The source address is not private. It is ready to forward. And on what basis it is going to forward? On the basis of destination IP address, which is 9.9.9.9. The packet will be reaching here, and then the reverse packet will be coming, right? The content of the reverse packet are, if I may write in the red color, the source and destination will be changed. This time the source will be 9.9.9.9, my bridgewhy.com address, and the destination is going to be 100.100.100.3. The packet will be coming back. Packet will be coming back from here to here. 100.3 is here. And you must be wondering, Mr. Vishnu, where is 100.3, right? You have 100.1, 100.2 here, 100.1 here. So when this router translate with any address, it takes the responsibility of this address, that this address is right here with me. So don't worry, you can forward it towards me, right? Anyhow, this network is right here. So the packet will be going here, the ARP is going to be here, and then packet will be coming here. If you do not understand what I said in last 10 seconds, that is perfectly fine. If you are watching the videos in the sequence, you will get everything if you understand address resolution protocol, by the way, right? When the packet comes back, which packet? This packet, it is going to say 100.100.100.3 and router will check who is 100.100.100.3 and the 100.100.100.3 is right here. Router will understand there is no dot 3. Basically, I have converted 192.168.10.10 to 100.3 and now the packet would like to go to 192.168.10.10 and that is why this table came into picture. That is why router is saving this table into its memory. Interesting, right? Now, what is going to the final packet which is coming back? Let me write it with the purple pen which the packet is coming. So this address will be changed, right? the source address is going to be 9.9.9.9. The destination will be, instead of 100.3, router will be changing it to 192.168.10.10, as simple as that. The packet will eventually be going right here. So network address translation is important piece here. Now, one curious question might be coming to your mind, then Mr. Vishnu, that do we need a public address for every private address? And this is known as, by the way, static network address translation. But this is not the case, right? Because NAT is one scheme that can save your IP addresses. The meaning is you can communicate with only one IP address, right? Doesn't matter you have 254 private addresses here. You can map all the private addresses to one address. And by the way, that is known as port address translation, where we involve TCP ports also along with the addressing. If you do not get it, that is fine. I have created a superb video in some of my courses in my bridgewhy.com. Just go and have a look at it, right? If you really want to understand how port address translation work, right? But here I'm just saying that you can have one public to one private address mapping, right? But generally we do not do it. Generally, if you want to make our entire network communicate, we just make it communicate using a port address translation concept, right? Now, what should be the configuration I should do on router? As I mentioned that this is the clerical work. And it's very, very simple also, believe me. Let me tell you, right? So this is my PCA, right? Packet can move from here to here. All the things are happening here. What are the things will be happening here? Basically, I need to give the static route. Also, I need to give network address translation commands, right? So if I write static route, it is very, very simple. IP route 0.0.0. This is the network with subnet mask, which represent everything on the internet. And if you want to reach out to that, you reach out to 100.100.100.1, which is my internet or Airtel router, which knows the complete internet, right? And now we need to talk about what is the configuration here. IP net inside, IP net outside. See, this interface, suppose this is my 0/1 interface, this is my 0/0 interface. The inside interface means that here I will be changing whatever the packets are coming over this interface. I will be changing the source address of these IP addresses, right? And what is this? This is my outside interface. I will be changing the address according to whatever is given on the outside interface. So outside interface is gigabit 0/0, inside interface is 0/1, right? And what addresses I need to translate or change, I have to define it using an access list. So by the way, access list is used, right, to block some things, but access list is also used to identify the network, right? So I am saying that I have created access list 1 here, which is permitting all the packets from this. Permitting for what? Permitting to do NAT. And I am using this access list here in my NAT command. I am saying whatever is coming on the inside port, just change the source address, whatever the source address which is matching this range, right, to whatever I have configured on interface 0/0. And I have configured on 0/0, which is 100.1. So right now, I am doing overload here. The meaning of overload is I am not using static NAT. I am overloading. The meaning is I am using port address translation. It means that with just with these two commands only, along with the internet interface commands, all the computers, whether it's 2 computers or 10 computers, 20 computers, they all will be talking with one address, which is 100.1. And how it is possible, how the translation happen, that is the concept which is known as port address translation. Whatever we discuss is here is static NAT. So basically, if you want to communicate only one host, you can say the static netting can be useful, but if you want to connect your entire network, then basically overload or port address translation is very useful. I think you get the idea, right? And what is the intention of an interviewer for this question? He wants to understand whether you know that how to define the complete servers, complete network of internet using one route, which is the default route, and a bit of network address translation. Having said that, let's meet in our next question where we'll be talking about OSPF and its link state nature, how it is going to avoid the loop. And this is one of the most interesting questions, that how OSPF avoid loops. See you in the next question. Bye for now.